Welcome back, everybody. I am Jeanette Diergaard, your presenter for Flex. Now, yes, it is another episode of Flex, and today we will be talking about exercise and not actually doing it, but that's okay. It will just help us to do better next time for our next workout. We are talking to Gregor Areseb. He is from Divas, Gents and Fitness, or Divas and Gents Fitness. He's a personal trainer there, so he will also just be telling us what we can do during the pandemic or while we're at home and while the gyms are closed, just giving us tips on how to stay motivated and how to keep working out and start, or if you already started, how to keep that momentum and just add a little bit of extra sauce and extra workouts to your workout. And after that, we will be looking at we will be watching the NHRS Mindful Revolution series, or actually it's also in partnership with the international company Mindful Revolution that NHP is spearheading in Namibia, and it is a 14-day mental health challenge. And today we will be talking to, or they will be talking to Hermien Elago, which will also just be sharing her journey in her wellness, or yes, her journey in the wellness lifestyle, whatever she's doing. So stay tuned. It is not a jam-packed episode. It's literally just those two things. So you can actually sit back, enjoy it, and just give a little bit of time to yourself and attention to your health and your wellness, and also just a little bit of motivation to keep going during these times. So we will head over to an ad break, and then we will talk to Gregor. Welcome back to the interview, everybody. We are joined with Gregor Areseb. He is a personal trainer at Divas and Gents Fitness Gym. Okay, Gregor, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Jeanette. How are you?
I am doing great. It's a bit cold today, but we're pushing through.
We don't have a choice.
Absolutely. So, Gregor, you guys are currently also at home, obviously because the gyms are closed. What are you guys doing currently to keep your members fit, or to assist them rather?
We used to be a virtual online personal training that we do through the Zoom and WhatsApp video call platforms for the people who have access. And for those who don't have access, we send programs and then just try and keep everybody engaged as best as we can.
Awesome. Are you also keeping fit during these times at home?
Now, you live instead you have run, especially in this pandemic. So yes, we are.
Awesome.
Best fit as well.
Okay, then speaking about the global pandemic, yes, what is the importance of keeping fit during these times, especially?
Well, it's pretty easy to keep your immunity up. Not keeping active would be a setback or a disadvantage for any person at this time. So the biggest reason for you to be active would be to boost your immunity, and that means keep your immune system high to fight off pathogens or germs, viruses that can implicate your health. So being that we are in a global pandemic, that would be a very easy question to answer. Just move to keep your immunity up. That's very simple.
Yeah.
You can't over or under emphasize.
And besides the immunity and everything, what else would you say is the importance of it, especially now that a lot of people are isolated and they're not going out a lot, or people that are just at home?
Well, mentally, everybody is taking a knock So just to get like mental fresh air, I call it mental fresh air, with the stresses of being home, caged in, not be social. So social anxiety also kicks in. Different pressures from cannot be holy, so you get exposed to different things. So mentally, that would be one of the biggest reasons for you to be active. It's fortifying your inside space to be able to handle your outside space. So that would also be another good reason for you to keep active. Another one would be just to have a great lifestyle. I mean, we've talked about lifestyle changes for over a decade now, and some of us still don't understand what it means. If you had started taking better care of yourself, or we, I think we would be in a better position to fight the pandemic. So yeah.
Great stuff. And what would be the best and easiest way to get started working out at home for those that don't do it on a regular basis?
Working out doesn't
I think we lost him there. Gregor, can you hear me? While we're waiting for him
actually
to
take much.
connect back again, can you just repeat what you said because we lost you there a bit?
Okay. No, working out doesn't take as much as people think. The easiest thing you can do is start walking. Let's go for walks. Um, Extend the length of your work by your speed or frequency. You can say 5Ks or 8K, or you can say from this house to that house. Basically, just getting your heart rate elevated than it normally is in a day. So the normal walking back and forth in the office won't do it. The normal back and forth at home doing what, washing dishes, won't do it. You have to make a conscious decision to say, okay, let me go for a walk. It's good for me, get some fresh air. So that would be the easiest thing to do. Just go for a walk. Start there, and then once you see your walking is becoming too easy, I say easy in quotation marks, then you walk faster, and then you start running. So yeah, that's very easy to do. You don't need a lot of stuff for that.
I've also noticed that a lot of the times it's not the exercise that's the difficult part, but it's the consistency and the motivation. What, what tip can you give us to always be consistent and motivated?
Easiest tip: always know why you started. A lot of people do things because they see other people doing it, but they didn't make the conscious decision. Tie your activity to a goal. Say, right now in a pandemic, you just want 1 hour to work on yourself. So, in order to be consistent, write it down somewhere big that you can see it, and then if you fail, you can keep yourself accountable and say, "Whoa, I didn't tick off on my wall that I went for a walk today," or have an accountability partner, and then you guys can virtually go for a walk. I mean, technology has made a lot of things possible now.
Yes.
Or challenge the people in your home for an activity a day, and then give each other turns. Basically, just move at least for 30 minutes a day. So you start small, and then you build your way up.
That's really a good way to start. And now, for everybody that has been in the exercising lifestyle for a while now, what are the importance of planning? Do you think it's necessary to plan your workouts when you're at home as well?
Well, when you start, you can go randomly, especially in the beginning. In the times that we are in, I wouldn't say conform to a very professional setup. So don't be too hard on yourselves by trying to be overly professional in the beginning. Take it randomly. You can write it down, but if you remember it in the first week, then I would say gradually go up to having a logbook where you write down everything that you do in a day. So planning is important, but at this point in time, we want people to be consistent more than they are good organizers of the workout, especially if you don't have a trainer. So I would say don't stress the admin too much. Just stress doing it, especially if you're starting. First 2 weeks, just focus on, okay, I went for walk today and then tomorrow. And then later you can get into the setup of it being now a professionally planned workout.
Yeah, no, that is really a great way to start. And especially if you start with real exercises and actually of not overexerting, but exerting your body to a certain point. What is also the importance of doing your research? There's not always a personal trainer. How do you still keep your form well, still do the proper movements to get the most out of your workout?
Well, you mentioned something very, very in the research, and it's been one of the things that make people confused a lot because of the overwhelming number of information that's out there. So everybody needs to develop a network. Have a fitness network of people that are around you that you can go for when you need answers, quick answers. Because fitness professionals don't always have time to answer a mirage of questions. But if it's basic stuff, I'm sure most of us can just quickly guide you and say, no, don't do this, don't do that, stay away from this, do this more, simply because by virtue of doing something for a long time. So develop a network of experienced fitness would be my biggest tip for anybody looking to do research. Then they can lead you to the right places and say, no, go read this article. This is more useful for you at this point, or this is too much for now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to end off, what would be your health tip to the public? For everyone, we are all in a pandemic right now globally. What do you have to say to keep us motivated?
Yeah, I have a few, but my first one would be, please, guys, control what you see and hear. If your mind is in a good space, you will be able to do a lot of more good things. But if you keep seeing negative stuff and stuff that make you sad all the time, then I can guarantee you there won't be any enthusiasm for you to even work out. So first, control what you see and hear. Make sure you surround yourself with positive and uplifting things, either visually or through audio. And then the second tip would be drink lots of water. Um, it's winter, so your body won't necessarily ask for it due to temperature control. So make it a point to set reminders to drink lots of water, warm water at that. Third would be just try and move for 30 minutes a day. And by move, I don't mean going to the toilet or
To
going
the
to
fridge.
work, going to the shops. No, I mean consciously making a decision to exercise and call yourself exercise. So yeah, that would be my biggest tips.
Thank you so much, Gregor. I think that is a very good tip. I mean, I neglect drinking water during the winter as well, so I will definitely make a point out of it as well. Yeah. So we definitely hope to see you guys again and work with you and the team from Divas, Gents and Fitness. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for having me, Jenny.
It is a great pleasure. So we'll end off the interview right there, and we'll be back with your NHRS Mindful Revolution Mental Health series. So that brings us to the end of not the episode. We will still be watching the NHRS segment, and I hope you guys really take away what Mark Joseph is teaching us. He will also be touching on the stages of grief and loss. So if you have lost anyone during these times, then just stay tuned and listen to what he has to say, and also do the breathing exercises with him, because it really helps to calm you down whenever everything is, all over the place and your emotions are all over the place. So yes, as I said, stay tuned to what Mark Joseph has to say. But I will say goodbye here, and we will definitely, hopefully, see you guys in the next Flex episode.
Good morning. Good morning. I'd like just to take a few moments just to acknowledge the loss that we've been through. And maybe we could just do a tiny little breathing practice just to settle our body and settle our mind this morning. Please join me. And if you like to close your eyes, you're welcome to. And I'd just place your right hand on your heart. And I'd like you to breathe into your heart, breathing nice and deep through the nose. And then exhaling it out the mouth, just releasing. Breathing in again, just breathing through that heart space at your own pace. And opening our hearts today for everybody that is struggling, everybody that is lost, the trauma, the worry, the grief. It's hard to feel it all, but we can acknowledge it, and we can stand in solidarity with our hands on our hearts and say, all I can do is express my love and my compassion, and I can send it out into the world with every breath. Taking in a lovely deep inhalation through the nose and breathing it out the mouth. And you can drop your hand. There's a wonderful model by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross called the 5 Stages of Grief. And I'd like to encourage a little check-in around this. I'm sharing my screen with you. So here are the 5 stages of grief. We may experience a loss, and we may feel some sort of denial in the beginning. That may move into anger. That could move into bargaining, then depression, and then finally acceptance. And a lot of psychologists have said that it's not necessarily in this order. So perhaps for you today, where are you in the 5 stages of grief for whatever it is that you've lost? And I've always encouraged just to pop your word into the Q&A. Would love to hear your engagement. Where are you right now? And I can tell you, thank goodness I haven't lost anyone close to me, but I did lose out on a really wonderful opportunity, and it was a gifted trip to fly to Arizona and it was last year March, and it was 2 weeks ago, and my flight got cancelled. And I can tell you now, I went through all of these stages. I was in denial. I felt the anger. I was trying to think, how else can I get there? And then when I realized it wasn't going to happen, I felt this depression. And then finally acceptance, which was a healing experience. So maybe you can just pop into the chat. Where for you are you in these stages of grief? If you'd like to engage with the Q&A, you're more than welcome to. It's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So today I have a really, really special guest with me, and her name is Hermien Elago. And she's looking so lovely and beautiful today. And we made friends recently on Facebook, and I've been just trolling her social media, just trying to understand who she is. And I'm just like so blown away. She's a storyteller, and she's been on a real journey, not only a mental health journey, but also a physical fitness journey. She lost so much weight in the last couple of years. I mean, I couldn't believe the before and after photographs. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. She just turned there's a quote, her pain into her power. She's full of energy and wisdom, and she's here to tell her story as a fellow Namibian of the experiences of grief that she's had in her life. Hermien, how are you today?
Hi, Mark. I am dancing with duality. It's a term I coined, I think, last year during the first lockdown. And when you were saying earlier, at which stage in the cycle are you? And I feel like I'm dancing between anger and acceptance. I'm feeling both. I am fully accepting. I remember when you and Dr. Ingrid had your session on Thursday last week, and you were speaking about the eye of the storm. I am situated in that eye of that storm purely because I have built my inner world to become what it is. So, but I recognize that the storm is still there. So that's how I'm doing. I'm dancing with duality. I'm angry, but I'm fully accepting. I have total peace, but I am so uncertain.
Sure. I'm just looking at some of the comments, I mean, and I love what you're saying. It really is quite profound. Anonymous is saying, I'm in between stages, just like what you've said, kind of a place in between. Another one is saying anger, another is depressed. Olga is saying, I'm somewhere between depression and acceptance. You see the betweens.
Yes.
Another one's saying anger and acceptance for now, says Dominique. Wendy, acceptance, a bit of anger. Anonymous is saying denial. Depression. Anonymous saying, Bernadette is saying anger. Thanks for everyone for checking in on where you are. And I think it's important to recognize where we are, because maybe we could reach out, we could get help. At least we just know for ourselves that, you know, maybe there's something in our home dynamic that's strained, and we can say, okay, this is a result of loss, and it's a result of grieving. And Hermien, do you feel a sense of loss at this pandemic time?
I absolutely do. Initially, it felt like it was happening around me. And then on the 1st of April, I lost one of my closest friends. And it felt like life changed from minute to minute. I was looking at a WhatsApp conversation I had with her recently. We were talking about consistency in, you know, movement in our bodies, and that was the last conversation. And she was thanking me for sharing my story with her. And I felt that I can only continue to honor her life by continuing to show up to what I believe I came here to do, because that's what she thanked me for. And then on Saturday, I actually wrote a Facebook post about this, where I was walking through town, and for the first time in a very long time, I snapped at a homeless man who had come up to me. He was just asking for spare change. And I have learned that he's just asking for what he needs, you know. And I've learned to look homeless people and every single person that I encounter directly in the eye, just to honor their humanity. Even if the answer is no, I cannot assist you. But I snapped because a few minutes prior to that encounter, I received a text message that my cousin, who was 6 months pregnant, had passed away in hospital, and the hospital managed to save her baby, but they couldn't save her. And I was just like, it's literally this constant dark and light, life and death, because she's gone, and yet her baby the doctors were able to save her baby. And I was like, this is why we are dancing with this duality, because I'm still alive, I'm still here, and I still have a purpose to fulfill, but I still want to be able to honor the lives of the people who I'm losing. And then I also heard that my uncle passed away, so it's 2 deaths in one day. And I sent Dr. Ingrid a text because she had invited me to be part of this, and she asked, are you still okay to proceed? And I was like, absolutely, because I am still alive. And the words that I said to Dr. Ingrid is, and that in and of itself is a gift. And I think I can best honor those who have left us by not so much celebrating, but acknowledging that I am gifted and I have the gift of life, and I'm still here. I'm still here.
You certainly are, Hermien, and you are here in a very important way. You dedicated your life to a message of wellness and of compassion and healing and peace of heart and peace of body. And this is your message in such a powerful way. You are a champion in that message. And I remember at the beginning of lockdown last year, I was feeling so depressed. I was even panic buying. I was starting to put cereal boxes in my cupboard. And then I took stock and I said, dude, you know what? This is the time that you've been practicing for. In all the years of your meditations and your teaching, now is the time that you've been practicing for. Now is the time to show up and be a light into the world. And it's been hard, I must say. It's been extremely hard. But I think we've all tried to, in our own way, shine that light, no matter how tough things are going on around us. And we can look to people like you, people that are shining the light brightly, even in the midst of your chaos, even in the midst of your storm. And I remember seeing the video of you, and you were talking about your loss of your friend, your friend that passed on the 1st of April. And I'm so sorry for your loss at this time. Can you point to a time in your life where this is the time of pain and loss, but is there another time we've been exploring broken pieces, and is there another time that really sort of just where you experience that intensity of loss other than this time?
Yeah, in 2008, I lost my father. And, my father was my hero because he was a poverty cycle breaker in his family. He walked from the north of Namibia to Windhoek. Just for perspective, that's about 800 kilometers to come find a job here when he was so he dropped out of school in grade 7 to get a job, and he just dedicated his life to hard work. He actually ended up dying because of working so hard so that his children would never have to experience the poverty that he grew up in. And I remember my father said one thing. He said a lot of things to me during that period when we knew that, his life was coming to an end. But one of the things he said is, I broke this cycle of poverty and I've accumulated this wealth. And he had 2 farms, a plot, trucks, and all of these things. And he looked at me and he says, I cannot take any of this with me. None of it. The only thing that is going with me, it's not even my physical body, it's purely my spirit. And that never left me. And that's when I learned it's so important that I build my inner world and I work on my spirit, because that's all I leave here with. Everything else remains behind. And I think that loss was so incredibly big and overwhelming. And I have learned to be strong, and which has really the Black woman narrative is something that I'm trying to break free from, because that constant, you have to always show up, always be resilient. And yes, I can be that, but I can also be soft, and I can also be vulnerable, and I can also be, I am a multi-dimensional being. I don't only have to be strong, and letting go of being strong is another grief that I had to encounter, because I think what a lot of people that I'm encountering is, it's not just the loss of, you know, their loved ones, but it's the loss of previous versions of themselves. We're coming from a space of this. We've always kind of been certain to a degree. We've known, you know, people have planned their lives. Like, I'm going to study this, and then this is what's going to happen. And this is, but now with COVID, we don't know what the next, life changes minute to minute. And as a result, people have had to let go of that certainty, and letting go of it also means letting go of versions of ourselves that we believed were either going to come, or so it's not just loss of other lives, it's loss of our own lives too.
Yeah, I mean, it's so profound where you're taking this. And I can see that you're a big, deep thinker, a very introspective person. And my dad taught me a lesson as well. And I celebrate your father's life today, and what he did, and the lessons that he taught you. My father taught me the lesson to let go of the labels, and he died because he couldn't let go of the labels that he was attached to, and he took his life because he was so attached to being those labels. And for me, one of the most important questions I've been asking and encouraging people to answer, but it's not about the answer, it's just about the question: who am I? Who am I? And as you say, we've lost a lot of things that we hold on to. Maybe it was a certain social setting where you have the cappuccino with your friend on a certain day, or you go to the gym and you work out at the gym, but now you can't go to the gym anymore, or, you know, certain things that now you have to reevaluate and ask yourself, well, who am I now? And can I reinvent myself? Can I reimagine myself at this particular time? So, you know, Hermien, you've been through some big losses by the sounds of it, and you still remain so positive. I mean, what do you take refuge in? What has kept you moving forward?
I was actually speaking to somebody on the way here, and they were talking about, they know how to be a good colleague, and they know how to be a good friend to somebody, and they know how to be all these things, but they don't know who they are to themselves if all of those things were to go away. And now they're going through that journey of knowing who they are. And I said, homecoming. That is what I call that journey, coming home to yourself. I always call it, and I feel like all any of us are doing on this earth is coming home to ourselves. And during the first lockdown, I was still fully employed, full-time employed, and now I work for myself. But I remember the CEO of our company, he sent out an email, and there was one line that stood out in that email. He said, in times of chaos, it is the calm and confident voice that stands out. And what I took from that was not what he meant, which was be that, or, you know, look for that voice or be that voice as a sales or marketing thing. I understood it as become that calm and confident voice for yourself first, so that you can be that for others. And I learned during that first lockdown to go within. I learned the importance of just having a daily practice. And I also shared this on Facebook, that my morning routine is sacred to me. The first 3 hours of my day belong to me and to no one else. I don't reach for my phone. I will not scroll through. I don't want to know before I've decided who I am and who I'm going to emerge as for that day. I don't want to know what the new vaccines are. I don't want to know any of that. I want to first know who I am going to be and who I will emerge as. And so I meditate, I journal. I always say with journaling that it feels like it is source or God or the universe and myself and my higher self and myself coming together in communion. And that's really what it feels like. It's like, you know, I have access to all the support and all the guidance that I need. And it's like an internal guidance system. And then I move my body, and I'll never tell people what to do, whether it's walking, whether it's stretching, whatever it is. Once I've done all of that, I will then engage with the rest of the world, because I've already had the most important meeting of the day, and that meeting is with my highest self.